Hey you guys, it's Ty and welcome or welcome back to my channel where I help you guys stay uplifted, motivate you, and find peace amongst yourself. So if you're interested in those type of videos, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. Make sure you're commenting down below and make sure you're subscribed, as well as follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at Ty_guidance and on Facebook at Talks with Ty to stay up to date. So for today's video, we will discuss and suggest and advise what it's like to deal with emotional pain. So for today's topic and for today's title, we are going to be discussing, sorry you guys, I had something in my eye. So for today's video, we're talking about how do we feel emotional pain. So what has helped me along my journey? How do I better understand emotional pain? What is emotional pain and how does it affect us? So really quickly, for those of you guys who are new, I like to go ahead and break up the keywords in the title so you all have a basic understanding, as well as being knowledgeable and teachable, as well as me when it comes to elaborating and explaining what I'm talking about. I feel like it's really important to educate yourself, as well as taking the time to understand what you're speaking of. I believe that when it comes to communications, when it comes to any type of elaboration or any type of form of communication, have an intention and have a purpose. A lot of people, like I stated in my last video, I believe energy doesn't lie. A lot of people can say things and don't have any meaning, and what I've realized, you guys, what has helped me along my journey is to mean what I say. So if I say something, in order to align yourself, an actual alignment is having the intention to do what you're going to say, because when you say what you mean, you don't have to back it up. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to explain yourself or feel degraded of anybody trying to belittle you or not understand what you're saying. That's why it's important to educate yourself, to learn as much as you can every single day if you have the time and opportunity, or just throughout the month. So challenge yourself to learn something new every single day, rather when it comes to your mental health, when it comes to yourself, when it comes to reflecting, or others. So emotional, I'll read that first because that's part of the first half of the topic. So once again, how do we feel emotional pain? Emotional is an adjective, and once again, for those of you who are new, I like to use a dictionary of the source, dictionary or the source. Right now I'm using Google definition because physically I don't have a dictionary of the source. I need to go ahead and purchase one soon. But emotional is an adjective. It says relating to a person's emotion. So children with emotional difficulties is the example that they give. So a similar word for emotional is considered psychological, and psychological is having an effect in someone's mind related to the mental or emotional state of a person. So that's another adjective or a similar word to describe the word emotional. They also have the word inner. Inner is they situated inside of something that is further or internal. So your interior, inside. So emotional, how you feel toward yourself internally. And they also have the word spiritual, which I love that word because in life I'm very in tune with my spirituality and just how I look at life. Spiritual is relating to or affecting our human spirit as a soul, and a material to physical things. So something that is opposed. So non-material, we have non-material things and we have things that are material because we are spirits, we're souls at the end of the day. So when it comes to our emotional being through our spiritual body, consciously, subconsciously, when it comes to our inner peace, when it comes to psychologically how we feel and interpret life, it also affects how we feel. So having feelings that are easily excited and openly displayed. So being passionate can be a form of you being emotional. Feeling, which means to have an emotional state of reaction. So in order to have a feeling, you have to be reacting emotionally. So rather it's love, care, affection, fondness, warmth, or being sensitive, having self-esteem, and ego. The emotional side of someone's character represents the emotional tendencies on how someone responds. So emotional, once again, is just arousing or characterized by intense feelings. So moving, touching, being affecting, affectionate, feeling, and warmth. So when it comes to emotional, having emotions based off of how you feel internally, rather it's your subconscious, consciously, rather it's physical, rather it's towards a material item, being passionate. And pain, for those of you who may not know, pain is a physical suffering or discomfort that's caused by an illness or injury. So some type of suffering. And pain can also be used as a mental or a physical pain. So something that hurts you, hurt is a mental pain or distress based on how somebody feels. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So when it comes to mental health, you want to understand the types of pain as well as the emotional state of being that you're in. So how do we feel emotional pain? How do we understand the state of being when something hurts us or something suffers us or causes us to feel uncomfortable? How do we feel when it comes to emotional pain? So now that we have an understanding of what emotional and pain is, how does that affect us? Like, how does that affect our lives when it comes to us being human beings, when it comes to us existing, living in society that we had no control over, living in an environment where we didn't get to pick and choose our guardians or the people who are responsible, living in an environment that may not be disciplined, living in corruption, not being established, not having the education, the resources, or establishing yourself because we don't have, like I said, the guidance or the proper tools and resources. Well, what I've realized, what has helped me along my journey when it comes to feeling emotional pain can be formed in symptoms. So feeling deep down inside, like in your gut, or like I said, consciously, subconsciously, feeling sadness, feeling depression, feeling grief, having an intense distress. So understand, because emotional pain is something that's inner and it is reflected based off of what you're exposed to in your environment. Understand that being upset or mentally disturbed is a form of emotional pain, which is feeling broken and being experienced of being wounded, a loss, self non like being appreciated towards yourself. That's what I meant to say, you guys. Sorry, I'm a little sleepy. A disconnection or a critical awareness of one or more negative attributes when it comes to life. So understand that my whole theory, which can be proven, when it comes to life, you guys, everybody every single day is going to go through a whole bunch of emotions. Rather they're genuine, they're positive, they're negative, rather they inspire you, rather they support you, rather they bring you down, good or bad, you guys, any adjective you want to describe, you're going to go through a lot of emotions in life. So what I've realized when it comes to understanding of emotional pain and how we feel emotional pain is to recognize and take the authority of acknowledging where you are right now in your life. So when it comes to understanding yourself, when it comes to finding peace amongst yourself, you have to understand, like, as of today, learning to be present. Today is July 7th. For some people, it may be July 8th, depending on where you are right now in the world. It is currently 11:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time where I'm at. So I'm in America right now. Today is July 7th. It's Wednesday, 2021. In order for me to understand the emotional pain, I have to be able to reflect and acknowledge where I'm currently at and what I'm doing right now in my life. Now, this does not start when it comes to acknowledging the burdens and the wounds and the suffering that you've been exposed to, because I'm pretty sure if you were not born today, and anybody who was just born today, happy birthday, but everyone here should be over the age of 18. You did not just now suffer today. This was not the only time that you've been experienced any type of emotion. The reason why I'm telling you to learn to be present and acknowledge your present is because when you realize where you are currently in the moment, this is the day that you want to start. So in order to move forward, in order to accept yourself, in order to understand the emotional pain, you must be in the present moment, because a lot of us in life, because I've dealt with this too, I'm getting better at it every single day. like I just said and stated, have dealt with trauma, we've dealt with grief, dealt with loss emotionally, consciously, subconsciously, whether it was from a material item or non-material item, whether it was through a person, an individual, or just internally suffering and depression through ourselves. So when it comes to understanding emotionally how you feel and deal with pain, I first would suggest and advise is to acknowledge where you are right now. This is the start. In order to move forward, you need a starting point. In order to get to the top of the mountain, in order to go to a new door, in order to take a step further, you have to be present. Your feet have to be planted on the ground. So when it comes to understanding emotional pain, understand where you are right now. So acknowledging the present moment. Now, when it comes to breaking down your emotions, when it comes down to understanding your emotions, elaborating how you feel and what to do when it comes with your emotional pain, be yourself. So acknowledge what you're going through as of today. And I suggest and advise, which I'm going to be, I realize, going to recommend eventually in a couple of months once I get through this month and for the rest of the time here that I'm here for you all, is to get a notebook. You can get one from Walmart, the Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, CVS, Safeway. It doesn't matter what type of notebook. It could be from anywhere from $1 to $500, whatever type of notebook, binder, piece of paper. If you don't have any of those, can't access those, go to your local library. If it's available, make sure you know, because it is still COVID season. So go to your local library, get some paper, get some pen, or even a sticky note. And I want you to write down how you felt today, what you experienced today, and write down and understand what you're going through as of today. Because you see, all the built up trauma that you previously already been exposed to, unfortunately, we cannot go back in time to those days. Now, in order to move forward, in order to understand your emotional pain, first things first, like I said, you want to acknowledge where you are present. You want to acknowledge how you feel right now in the present moment, because everything that's built up inside of you already exists. But the time and the date, because we don't get to control that in life, we can only control how we feel and how we react and respond, is going to be very beneficial when you write down how you feel. Because if you have built up tension, you have built up anger, if you're miserable, if you're jealous, you're not feeling inspired, if you're depressed, all of that is going to be affected by today. And the reason why I say that is because if you do not change your ways, if you have all of this built up tension, anger, and frustration from all the emotional pain that you're dealing with, you haven't done anything different to cope or do anything about it. The purpose and why I'm here is to heal, to understand our peace, to understand ourselves, and to move forward. So after you write down how you feel and what you've been through and how it affected you, go ahead, move your notebook to the side, and understand that that's the first step. Learning to acknowledge where you are in the present and give yourself a pat on the back. When it comes to understanding ourselves, a lot of us are very hard on ourselves. And in life, we only have 24 hours in a day. Unfortunately, everyone does not have the same resources. Everyone does not have the same tools. So that means there are going to be some people who struggle more than others, because once again, you did not ask to be born. You did not get to control your environment and how you were raised, what you were able to access, to have a privilege with. As most children, or most anybody who was once a child, you were raised in an environment where your parents and your generations of family were. So your grandparents, your mom and aunt, whoever raised you, that's what they've known. So if they weren't able to, like I said, have the privilege, because everyone's not raised the same, to help you emotionally and to help you understand your emotional intelligence and your emotional pain, dealing with pain, they don't know any better. You don't know any better. And it's nothing wrong with lacking knowledge. That's why we're here, and that's why I said in the beginning of this video, it's so important to educate yourself and to learn how to heal every single day. The more you're able to apply on how you feel, the more you're able to educate yourself, the more you're able to learn and grow and appreciate yourself. So understand that after you do that, I would suggest and advise that when it comes to emotional pain, in a week or the next day, it doesn't have to be any type of specific day, anything that's bothering you, because you want to learn how to live in the present day. Anything that's bothering you from, like I said, the next day in a week or whenever you choose to, I'll just say maybe once or twice in a month, but if you want to do it every day, it takes a lot to do that. Write down what has been beneficial to you in your life. So whenever you get the chance, because there's no specific way to heal. Everyone's not going to grieve the same. Everyone's not going to cope the same. Everyone doesn't feel the same. So that's why I'm not putting a specific date or a specific time. Whenever you feel comfortable, the next step when it comes to dealing with emotional pain is taking some time to yourself and getting the same notebook, writing down the date. And that's another thing I meant to say. Write down the date. Write down, so if you do it tomorrow, July 8th, 2021, Thursday, write down the time. Write down what you've been exposed to. Write down how your day was and leave it alone. If you want to do it the next day or whenever you decide to do it before the end of this month, write down all of the pros and the cons of anything that has caused you to hurt. So if you're not where you want to be in life because you suffered, you're depressed, or have some type of loss, I want you to make a pros and a cons list. So from the pros and the cons list, I want you to write from the last 5 years or whenever you feel like you had the most emotional trauma. So for example, in 2017 up until now were like the most severe and the most traumatic years of my life, because in life, you guys, we have bad days. It may seem like it's ongoing, but every single day of your life is not bad. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days. There's not a specific way of how someone's supposed to live their life or what someone's supposed to be exposed to. That's why it's a pros and a cons. And that's another reason why you don't want to compare yourself to other people. And you have to understand, when it comes to suffering, learn to take responsibility and actions for yourself. You cannot hold your pain and your suffering to somebody else who's high on their horse, because they're not you. You don't have the same exposure. You don't have the same environment, and it's not fair to do that to yourself. So make a pros and a cons list from the last time that you suffered or anything that you suffered with, like I said, throughout your life. Rather, if you want to start from childhood, rather you want to start from 5 years, it doesn't matter. I just, like I said, I gave you guys my example, my timeline, so you have an understanding. Write down the pros and the cons. So pros are the positive things in your life that you have accomplished, things that made you feel good about yourself. Your highest achievements, rather, is getting a car, learning how to drive, buying your first house, getting married, graduating high school, graduating college, putting yourself through college, learning how to ride a bike. Whatever emotionally has value to you, the most positive, most influential things that made you feel good. Because in life, like I said, you have some days that are going to be better than others. Then you're going to make your cons. So all of things, someone passing away, you losing your job, you going to jail, you being raped, you getting drunk, you hitting your head, being in an abusive relationship, having a miscarriage, whatever it was, having abusive family, whatever negative, traumatic, emotional experiences, write down everything that has been happened to you and exposed to you. After you do that, from that day forward, because this is now when it's going to be specific, from that day forward, I want you to go back to your notebook and learn to make a checklist. So the same way I told you guys today to write down what today was, how it made you feel, how it affected you, in this journal or in the notebook or whatever, piece of paper, however you want to put it in a binder, start going over everything that has happened to you, the good and the bad. So for the bad, so my example, I'll do it really quickly for you guys. If I can find, okay. So I'm going to put cons and I'm going to put pros. So first things first, you should have a pros and a cons list. But before we do that, I have to do what I just said first, which was being in the present day. So my pros and cons list is not going to look like anybody else's, because once again, nobody has gone through what I've experienced. Like, people may have been in a car accident, but the emotional state of being is not the same. Like how everyone feels, I can't tell you how to feel because nobody can tell you how to feel. People can suggest and advise, because at the end of the day, everyone's consciousness and subconscious is based off of what they've been exposed to in their environment. Everybody was not raised like me. So that's another reason why you shouldn't be envious, jealous, compare yourself, or degrade yourself to other people, and learn to work and heal amongst yourself. So today, like I said, it is July 7th, 7/7/2021. Today is Wednesday. I don't know how to spell Wednesday, you guys, so I'm just going to put WED for abbreviation. And right now, it is 11:21. So today, my day, and it doesn't have to be anyway. So I'm just going to start off by saying today, my day was very chill. Today, my day was very chill. And be specific. Very chill. How I felt was okay. I didn't do much, but I'm grateful. For my day. Anything special happened to you, Ty? Like anything and everything, whatever you want to write about, what happened to you throughout the day. The highlight of my day was getting my medicine. So I have health conditions, you guys, and I got some medicine. Yay! Woo. So that was the highlight of my day, getting medicine. I didn't do much. So like I said, my example, how my day was, is not going to be the same as yours. So here you have your notebook. You write down today's date, the time. So it says today, my day was very chill. How I felt was okay. I didn't do much, but I'm grateful. The highlight of my day was getting my medicine. So for me, I was able to make it brief. Like I said, I want you guys to elaborate and be very specific. I was just giving you guys an example to show you. So after that, I'm going to close that. So we're going to fast forward, pretend that today, in a couple 30 minutes, will be a new day. So now, cons and the pros. So let's just say now today, I do it the day after, is now the 8th, 2021. So the cons of my life. I graduated high school. To me, that was important because I barely graduated high school, you guys. I graduated high school. I'd never been to college, so the furthest education that I have is 12th grade. So I graduated high school and put barely in parentheses. I got my driver's license. I learned how to drive. I've had my own apartment. And I've been working since I was 17. I'm just going to give you guys examples. So these are accomplishments in my life that I feel very highly of, can speak very positively, make me feel good about myself. Now, pros, I'm just going to, like I said, give you guys examples. Pros in my life. My father passed away, or traumatic, so I did that backwards. So yeah, the pros is what I just did. So excuse me. Now I'm going to do cons. So I just have to, so pros. So the things I just said were pros. Now I'm going to do the cons. So excuse me. So my father passed away, and I didn't speak to him. So these are the things that made you suffer, or emotionally made you not feel good about yourself, or made you feel depressed throughout your life. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way. It doesn't matter how many you put. I'm just putting these just so you guys have a basic understanding. So I'm just going to do 3 each to save some time. So my father passed away. I didn't speak to him. I was in an abusive relationship. And these are real things that happened to me, you guys. Abusive relationship. I lost my apartment. My mind. and my car. And that's just the one I've already stated. I've been to jail. Been to jail. So, like I said, I'm just going to give you guys 3 examples. There's more things that I've been exposed to. So, now, when you write these down and you express emotionally how you feel, first things first, you may be emotional, you may start crying, and it's okay, because when it comes to healing, there's no right or wrong way to heal. There's no specific time when it comes to grieving. Acknowledge the good and the bad. A lot of people don't realize that you have anxiety because you're worried about what's going to happen to you and how it's going to happen, and you also have depression because you're living in the past. And the past, unfortunately, you guys, is a moment that no longer exists. And in order to move forward, in order to heal yourself, in order to emotionally understand the pain that you've suffered and deal with, you have to learn how to understand where you are right now, because nothing in life is going to change. Monday through Friday doesn't change. Saturday through Sunday doesn't change. December through January doesn't change. The only thing that changes is your emotional state of being and the actual year yourself. And that's why I tell you guys every single day to practice daily, to get a notebook, to also speak to people, to surround yourself with positive people, talk to people you're able to confide in. If you're not in that emotional state of being, to talk to others, be by yourself. And this is another reason why I tell you to get some paper and pen. If not, another trick and tip, a mirror. You guys know the mirror trick. Look at yourself in the mirror, start facing your fears, start talking about what is helping you, what's not helping you. Or lastly, record your thoughts. And those are 3 strategies that I use that have been very beneficial to me. So once you go ahead and write it down, or you talk to someone, or you look at yourself, whichever way you want to acknowledge it, take each day and take each moment for what it is. So because the past is a moment that no longer exists, all the cons in your life, because that's what we're talking about now, you cannot go over and redo. Like, nobody in life can go back to their past and control what happened to them. And that's the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to understand what happens to us, good and bad, and how we're able to move forward to better ourselves until we're no longer here. Because you don't want to wait until you're no longer existing to be trying to figure out what you want to do, because it's impossible. Once you're no longer here and once you go, because everything in life that everybody does have in common is death. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that. I'm very comfortable. I've accepted it. Like I said, the further videos, the rest of this year, I will be elaborating more. But understand that you get one life, and it's up to you emotionally to understand how you feel. That's why I control my happiness. That's why I started this channel, because I've been through a lot of things just like everybody else. But you're not alone. That's another reason why I started this channel. So when it comes to emotional pain, understand that everybody in life is going to suffer. That's why you have to acknowledge what is going to help you, what's not going to help you, what happened to you that made you feel this way, and understand it's a process. There's no right or wrong way to grieve. There's no right or wrong way to feel. Nobody should tell you how to feel. Nobody can show you how to feel. Nobody should invalidate how you feel. So if you have disagreements with people, understand it's okay to disagree, to have disagreements. You're not going to think alike with everybody, because everybody's not like you. If you don't understand what somebody's saying and you don't take the time to understand them, don't worry and consume yourself. So for example, the people that don't appreciate me, the people who don't believe in me, people that talk down and badly about me, I don't speak to people who are not able to uplift me. I don't have conversations with people who always have something negative or try to point out flaws and have everything to go against me. If you're going against me, you're against me. Stay that way. If you're willing to take the time to understand what I go through, understand me as a person, understand my emotions, then we can talk. So start to have boundaries, start to acknowledge your present day, start to accept what has happened to you, because you cannot go back in time. In order to move forward, in order to understand your emotional pain, you must forgive yourself. And when it comes to the suffering, regardless if it was physical, emotional, financially, that's going to take time for you to accept and understand why you went through the things that you did. Because in life, everything is going to happen until, like I said, you no longer can breathe. And you know, like I said, you don't want to wait until those days where you're no longer to be healthy or you're able to do what you can. You don't want to be 60, 70, 80 years old on your deathbed regretting, angry, and miserable. You have a lot of adults in this world who are angry and miserable because they never had proper love. They never had proper guidance, and it started from them being children, or it started from them being exposed to trauma. There were once a time in your day in your life where, like I said, you were living a decent life, and you have to stop comparing yourself to other people. That's why I never compare myself. I'm never jealous of anybody, because everyone can't suffer the way I suffer, and people don't realize that. People are like, oh, I want her life, or she makes it look like her life is easy. You don't know what I have to go through, and that's what people fail to realize. What people suffer is going to be based off of their environment and what they're exposed to. The more resources, the more tools, the less likely the suffering will be personal or emotional. That doesn't mean that people who are successful don't suffer. Their problems may be, like I said, them having to pay $4,000 in taxes versus someone who financially doesn't have any money is struggling to pay a $4,000 bill, or struggling to get $4,000. Like, people fail to realize that everybody has problems, and everybody's problems are based on their environment and what they're supposed to be going through. So I understand when it comes to emotional pain, you want to acknowledge where you are right now. So first things first, acknowledge where you are in the present. Currently, write down how you feel, express how you feel in the present moment, because in order to knock down all of the blockages in your life, you have to understand that you can only move forward. So like, all the pain, all the suffering that you have is built up. We want to get from here to here. You want to break through. In order to break through, in order to be free, in order to be at peace, you have to take it step by step. That's like learning how to achieve and get to the mountain. In order to get to the mountaintop, you have to take the first step. You can't keep looking back if you want to go forward. You can't hold the weight on your shoulders if it needs to be thrown on the floor. And that time that you take to break down, that time that you take to acknowledge and express and cry, scream, yell, and shout, and understand what you're feeling, is that time that you're healing. You have to heal in order to get better. In order to win, you have to lose. In order to lose, you've had to fail. You have to try. Don't give up on yourself. So that's all I'm going to say for this video, because I've reached my time. But understand that when it comes to emotional pain, it is up to you to understand what is working for you. It's up to you to express what's not going to work for you. It's up to you to understand what happened to you, how it made you feel, and how it's affecting you now. Because guess what? If something happened to you, let's just say 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you can't go back to that time. And there are so many people in this world. There are people who like to make excuses. A lot of people don't like to take responsibility, and it's okay, because it wasn't until, I can say, for me, it's not the fact that I lack taking responsibility. It was the fact that I would beat myself up. So rather you lack responsibility, you beat yourself up, regardless of what it is. Taking the time to be like, you know what? None of us asked to be born. I always said that. Comment down below if you knew when you were going to be born, if you knew how much you were going to weigh, if you knew what you were going to look like, if you knew what time you were going to be born, if you knew what decade you were going to be born in, if you knew what type of environment, if you knew how you were going to be born, what you were going to look like. Do you think you would be putting yourself in these traumatic experiences? You think you would want to choose intentionally to suffer? That's why people have to learn from their mistakes. That's why people have to learn to take accountability for themselves. Stop gossiping about other people. Stop pointing your finger about other people. Stop worrying about what somebody's doing when you have all these problems yourself and you're the only person who's suffering. That's why me personally, I'm able to get to where I need to be in life. I'm going to get to where I need to be in life, because I don't, like I said, surround myself with lower vibrational people who feel the need to do so. And I had to realize that everybody's not going to want to see you win. Everybody's not going to want to see you do well. That's why it's important to know who you are. At the end of the day, nobody can make me feel about anything I've done or suffered in my life. And anybody, like I said, who tries to use my trauma, that's like robbing my house, and I don't live there no more. So if you just robbed a house that doesn't belong to me, that has nothing to do with me. You have to know who you are. You have to know emotionally what the pain that you went through, because the pain that you're going through can't compare to the joy that's coming. And in order to see the joy that's coming, you have to accept, okay, like me, I got into a car accident. The reason why I got into a car accident was because the traction on the road. If I would have had, more experience with driving and understanding about how a car works, that could have been prevented. Now I know when I get in a car, I drive the speed limit. I'm mindful. I have to understand all cars do not drive the same. I have to understand it's important to check the weather, etc. Me losing my dad, not talking to him, not speaking, to, call people, tell the people that you love them, that you appreciate them every single day, to check up on them. Don't pick and choose when to speak to people. Like, you have to be responsible for your actions. You have people that are not willing to be responsible for their actions but want change. How do you want change if you're not willing to change anything about what you're doing? So in order to understand your emotional pain, how do we feel emotional pain, it starts from you. It starts from your exposure. Like I said, rather it's from you being a child, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, it doesn't matter your age. You have to be willing, you have to acknowledge, and you have to practice. If you're not willing to practice and take the time to commit, nothing is going to change other than the day. So right now I started this video, I think at 11:10. It's 11:36. 26 minutes has gone by. In the next 30 minutes, it will be July 8th, 2021, and I'll be back again to make another video. It will be Thursday. Understand that lifetime is not going to wait for nobody. You didn't even ask to be born. You cannot keep using it as a crutch. You cannot use it as an excuse. There are going to be people that make excuses. There are going to be people who do what they say they do. If you want to be one of those type of people to do what you need to do, start to get it done. Time's not going to wait for you, because guess what? All that trauma that you suffer, guess what? I apologize. That's why you need to learn how to forgive yourself, because once again, if you had the proper guidance, if you had discipline, if you were brought up in an environment where you were wealthy, would you have to worry about financial issues? Would you have to worry about trying to pay your bills? Would you have to worry about dealing with people? Same thing with me. If I had known what type of man to be with, if you think I would have been with somebody who's a manipulator, or somebody intentionally who tried to abuse me emotionally, financially, whatever it was, like, if I had the common decency and I respected myself and I knew that I don't need a man, I don't need anybody, I wouldn't have allowed myself to put myself in certain situations. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for their actions. I have no problem admitting, like I talked about the other day, energy does not lie. Energy does not lie. That's why you got to know your energy. You got to know how you carry yourself, what type of person you are. When I was in an environment, I felt like it was, some of the people there, they were negative. I tried to speak up about it. I had to understand that the people that I was in the environment, they didn't know any better. They didn't have the knowledge. They don't know what I know. And because of my intuition, that's why I was talking about intuition and anxiety. That's why you got to get it together, is to understand. If I would have known that, it's a time and a place for certain things, and you can't tell someone something who doesn't understand. So that was like me trying to speak Spanish to people who spoke English. If I speak Spanish and I'm telling them in Spanish what I'm trying to say, and they only speak English, you're not going to be able to comprehend. So stop being so hard on yourself. Practice daily. Don't give up, and take your time, because at the end of the day, there's no specific time of when you're going to get to where you need to be. It doesn't happen until you start to work on yourself. That's why some people in 3 years are going to be 3 steps ahead. Some people are still going to be in the same spot. Don't worry about what other people are doing. You can't worry about what other people are doing and try to expect to get anywhere in life, because that time and energy you're putting by hating, being jealous, trying to copy, trying to be something you're not, you're degrading. You're making yourself more worse. You're putting yourself in more situations, the holes that you already trying to get yourself out of. So don't give up on yourself. Practice daily, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, peace.